again.
So soon after our last appointment.
Thought this would be a good follow-on video from the last one. And I think I've abandoned the shed talk for now because it's depressing sitting in there when it's
such a lovely day in northwest of England.
Look at this geezer here.
He's fucking been on Salvia ATX in.
So, as you've seen from the video title, I'm going to be talking about the responsible way to use psychedelics to prevent any potential life-threatening circumstances that can come with it. Oh, we've got a special guest today. Oh wait, he's not special, it's the same Charlie we know and love. Right, anyway, to get to it, what's the main way to use these substances responsibly? And I'd say one of the main things is just having some awareness or some consciousness about what you're doing and the profundity of which these substances can well, hello again.
So soon after our last appointment.
Here we are again in England somewhere. It's me in the mirror. So you know it's not a hologram. Or is it? Who knows? I'll tell you one thing though.
This guy here has been having a bit too much Salvia X on the
Salvia ATX on the weekend. Well, we're off to a good start already. Love me DIY non-shed talk content. So what we're talking about today, talking about how to use psychedelics responsibly. And I think this is a good follow-up video to the last one I did. There's some pretty flowers if you're already bored by my face visual right here. I mean, I would be if I were you, so can't blame you. Right, main thing you want to be doing if you're getting involved with these substances, and as I've said, I'm just going to keep up with that general rule of thumb that you shouldn't really get too deep into these until you're 25 and beyond, not just because your brain on a physical level is still developing up until that point. Also, when you're a young person, when you're a teenager going up into your mid-20s, this is going to be the time of your life with your most energy and your most opportunities to sort of lay the foundations for the rest of your life. Not saying you can't sort yourself around, turn everything around. Sorry, I'm very sleep deprived. That's per usual, but we roll. So it's not like you can't turn things around after that, but it's going to be a bit harder for most people. I mean, maybe you're in your 30s and 40s and you still have as much energy as you did when you're 13, skipping around
the playground with lads, chewing on bloody strawberry pencils.
But for many of us, as we get older, every 10 years, let's say, I've noticed every 7 years I seem to just like something really different occurs in my life, like some physical change, mental change. But then some people literally just stay the same the whole lives, don't they? So yeah, I must say I'm not an expert, and I just like to help people out in the best way I can. I don't know all the answers, and I definitely need to learn more myself. But yeah, I just tried to approach this from a sort of down-to-earth, grounded perspective to keep people safe and informed. But I'm also not the one to look up to. Just take a lot of the stuff I say with it.
You want to bloody turn that racket down, my lad?
Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Yeah, this guy obviously doesn't like me very much. So yeah, basically what you want to do is you have a lot of awareness and consciousness around what you're doing, and realise just how profound these things really are, and how much they can change your life in extremely positive ways, but also if approached with a lack of awareness, ignorance, ego, selfishness of any kind. If I just got bit by some form of creature, I didn't. Oh look, it's Charlie.
Hello, Charlie. What's going on?
Charlie. Nah, he's sizzling. No, his tail moves. He's still with us. He's still with us. He loves the sun. He's like a battered sausage. So yeah, there's a very real reality of you bringing about some catastrophic results into your life if you misuse these substances. And how do you know if you've got awareness or consciousness? It means when you've sort of got, well, for me, it's when I know I'm in control of myself, rather than being on ego autopilot, like, right, where's the next dopamine fix? Right, what's the next thing I can do to please myself, or what's the next thing I can do to distract myself? Anything that's just preventing you from growing. Obviously this is just for me, it might be different for you. Yeah, so basically just sort of got to dial in. Meditation is very important, I'd say, for a lot of ADHD minded people, although it might not work for you, but it's definitely worth trying it out. All of this stuff's worth trying out. Even check into like nootropics and that. I take this nootropic called Bacopa or Brahmi. It's a really great nootropic for calming your mind, and what's also interesting about it is that it has lingering effects from, like, if you say you take it for a month or two, your supply that you bought, there's lingering, it's like almost an afterglow, not in the traditional like psychedelic sense, but the positive effects of using the nootropics stay with you rather than dissipate like other nootropics, where they just sort you out with whatever you need sorting out in the month that you take them. I'm very bad at articulating myself on the spot, but so forgive me. I hope I'm relatively clear. I'm gonna have a suntan neck today. Let's have a walk around here so I don't fry my brain, although it's probably better for the lighting right here. Yeah, I don't know anything about this YouTube bollocks. Another really good thing you can do to know how to use psychedelics responsibly is to do lots and lots of research. I respect that many people comment, message me and say that the trip reports that I share and all the other content that I've put out over the years has helped them become more prepared and have a bit more of a pure insight into what they're really getting themselves into. Because anyone, if you don't do your research, you don't know the theory for anything, and you try to, it's like doing a car, it's like driving a car, isn't it? If you don't do your theory, you don't understand any of the rules of the road, but you can actually drive the car, you're still gonna bump into loads of problems, aren't you? Like, you come in to a junction and you just crash straight into some old woman and that, and then your life changes forever. And you can also ruin the lives of other people, because say if you're using psychedelics irresponsibly, what if you go crazy one time and then literally attack your mates and do actual genuine damage to them and yourself? So there's some very, very real risks with this stuff. I think people sometimes really underestimate what they're getting into, and that's why I always encourage you to just do it when you've got most of your life, your foundations of your life sorted out, and then you can start delving into the spiritual. If you get a bit too lost in the spiritual path as a youngster, it can be very disconcerting and discouraging from doing other things in your life, like even just socialising. Because I've noticed one thing about psychedelics is if you spend too much time on the spiritual path and you're living literally like, I don't know where I do, even just like I don't live in a bustling town or whatever, but when I do go out to like the city or whatever, and local town, and going out and speak to people, and I noticed for a while when I was getting proper deep into spirituality, I felt disconnected from the people around me, which is actually quite it's like hilariously tragic in a sense, because you're getting spiritual and more interconnected with like life and God and the universe and stuff, and then you literally can't even speak to your best mate like you used to be able to. So that was something that really hammered home how reckless I was being with these powerful tools for mind expansion. But they can also be mind constrictors, I've noticed. yeah, if you don't use them like how they are designed to be used. Another thing for being responsible is I completely understand the use of recreational psychedelics in festivals and raves and parties and the like. I understand it 100%. Don't even think there's anything wrong with it. There's not really anything wrong with anything unless you project good and bad upon anything in the world. So it's not like wrong for you to do that. But what must be said is that there's a lot more risks for you using them recreationally. Let me tell you one thing now, my son. The amount of festivals I've gone to and had these like chaotic ego death experiences just to come out of the blue when you don't expect it, can really decalibrate your mind from this human realm, and you need to be calibrated into the human, or else you're gonna sink down a very seriously dark hole of depression and that. But you can work your way out of it and work through all this pain and suffering that comes with a catastrophic trip. But then there's, like I say, there's catastrophes that genuinely, what if you're on a trip and you're like, and have you seen them people? Some people like Boomtown and other festivals, like they're obviously absolutely tuned in on loads of psychedelics and other wacky stuff, and then they'll get up on some like totem pole and they'll jump off it and break their legs and possibly be in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. I was like, so that's very serious potential for using these universe devices. That's another way to be responsible. Yeah, like I say, I went on a super tangent there, man. Doing your research, read the books. There's loads of books. Type in the best books on psychedelics on Google. Timothy Leary and read some of Strassman's stuff. Maybe read into spirituality as well before you get into it. Read into it and then look at the connections between like shamanism and psychedelics and how they all fit together. That'll be really interesting for you. But sometimes there's a problem when you're reading all this stuff, and this is what I think a lot of people do with my content, is they literally like listen to the trip report and then they're like, oh right, I've got it, I'm fully ready, I know exactly what I'm doing, I've consumed all this theory. It's like, mate, the practice is very different from the theory. You can be really good with something theoretically and then be terrible at it practically. This applies in so many different areas of life. I hope you can hear me because it's getting bloody windy out. What do you think of this, Mr. Charles?
I think I need to go for a cascade tonight.
What are you doing? Right, so, I have to retreat into the shed. Should we go in the shed? Oh, mate, it's warm in here. Coming in, my son. That's too warm for him, I guess. Fucking old man, me. My legs are absolutely fucked. That's fair, better than me standing up. Yeah, hopefully you can see. An absolute ramble this has been. So yeah, get that research done. I appreciate a lot of people consume a lot of their psychedelic theory through my channel, but one thing you really need to do, I think, obviously listening to things does count as you absorbing the information, but what I think is really even more valuable is, because especially in this day and age when people can't even read books, and I get it, I struggle as well, because I'm fucking stuck in this dopamine cycle that's propagated by TikTok and just the ADHD culture that we live in. I get it, I empathise. It's not easy, is it? This obsession with like multitasking, watching something on your phone while you're watching a film, while you're listening to music, while you're doing all this at once. It's like, oh, in a sense, I feel like a lot of us are trying to fill some void, aren't we? Trying to be satisfied by having all these like dopamine fixes at once. It's like, oh, the best thing you can do is literally just sit down and do something really like mundane, like read a book, even though it's not mundane, because the content of the book's probably super profound. Oh, I'm going to spin around. There's some funky spiritual stuff over here. It looks way better over there. And yeah, so get reading and that. It'll really help. It helps calm your mind as well, you know. And if you have a calm mind going into psychedelics, they're going to reward you big time. Like we say, set and setting is the classic bit of advice, and it goes a long way. because it encapsulates everything about it, doesn't it? Have a good, clear mindset and intention. If you, another responsible way is to have an intention for when you're taking these things. Otherwise, I mean, so actually, this is the thing what is so cool about psychedelics. You can have all this theory and all these ideas, and you get into it, and it's just beyond what you ever imagined. It's something else entirely, and that's what's fascinating about them. The lights out in my eyes, so I'm going to spin around again. I just keep spinning around. Get out of my way. Ooh, 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 ooh. So everyone's just clicked off now, so it's just me and you.
I've always wanted to find you, Kakarot.
What was I saying?
Ha! What an absolute travesty, mate.
Yeah, the beauty of psychedelics is that you just don't know what's going to happen sometimes. There's also there's also a lot of fear with we fear anything that we can't control, can't we? We fear the unknown, fear these things that are beyond us and that. But yeah, that fear. If psychedelics pick up on like the elements of your like shadow and your subconscious that you bury in, and this fear and everything, they will sort of recycle that back into your like conscious mind, and you will have to address it. This is why going into it with a good mindset, being like, right, okay, I'm ready to take psychedelics, but I also acknowledge that I've got some stuff inside of me that I'm holding on to, that I'm trying to push down, that I'm aware will come up in the trip. That's a great mindset to have, or at least for me and maybe people like me, because that's an awareness, isn't it? That's consciousness of, that's a pure element of consciousness where you realize, okay, there are things about me that aren't perfect, and that I'm propagating a lot of my self-suffering. So when myself dissolves, a lot of these things are going to come up because the self isn't like controlling them and restricting them anymore. It's going to come out. But if you're like, nah, I'm fucking sound me, I can do whatever I like, I'll just fucking take 20 tabs and it'll be alright. That's when you can start. That's the recipe for a very challenging trip. What's another beauty of psychedelics is that possibly that might be exactly what you needed. This is what I'm saying, like when I say just have a bit of a nuanced approach to my content, and don't get like, right, well, you said this thing, but actually this thing is the case. It's like, well, the whole gamut of psychedelics is just so wide, it's so broad and deep that a 20-minute video on the internet like this just cannot encapsulate the whole spectrum of what it means to be on these substances and experience altered states. So that's why I very much encourage people in the comments to actually say things that I didn't say in here. You give your own thoughts on how to use psychedelics responsibly. To be honest, I've not even really touched upon it in this video. I've just been absolutely rambling, but I hope there was some takeaway from it that helped you out. I'm gonna go back outside now because it's so hot in here. My camera always ends up overheating, so we don't like that, do we? So yeah, try to think of one more so this video wasn't a waste of time. I mean, I say this all the time, don't be taking loads and loads of psychedelics all the time every weekend. Also, don't feel as if you need to keep challenging yourself. It's great to challenge yourself, and you should be challenging yourself in many areas of your life, but sometimes we face challenges that we aren't ready to overcome, and that we fail at them miserably. Obviously, failure teaches you a lot, teaches you great lessons, and my many failures with psychedelics have been some of my deepest lessons in life in general, and just the way I can... Nice, back again. Busted. Yeah, that's why nowadays I literally just don't take loads of them at all, and I'm super sensitive to them as well. I've noticed, like, for me personally, over time, I've been using psychedelics for a long time, and so basically I've realised don't mess about with them anymore in the way that I used to, or else it will be even more intense because I'm far more sensitive to them. So yeah, and like I say, I'm just one person. The way I react to it is different, so you need to figure this out for yourself in the safest, conscious most conscious way. Like I say, do a bit of meditating if you've never done that before. Take long walks in nature and contemplate like the nature of the self and consciousness, and try to get out of that ego sort of animalistic mind where it's like, oh yeah, I'll just keep taking it and then I'll transcend the physical. Like, again, this is not a healthy mode of thought. But yeah, you guys give your opinion in the comments, and sorry that this video was all over the place, but I felt like it needed to be said, and I'm quite enjoying this content at the minute because it's a lot more personal and not like, hello, I'm Vivek and this is my latest trip report. So yeah, nice little garden, funky stuff. Remember to keep yourself safe, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Support us on Patreon, get on the Discord. If you send us any messages, just know that I might not reply to them, but I always read them and always take them in. I learned so much about your lives and the way you approach this stuff, and not only are you very fascinating people, you're also near and dear to my heart for supporting this whole YouTube malarkey. So that's very kind of you. Yeah, let's leave it on one more. Can I think of one more? Responsible usage. Oh yeah, another responsible usage is knowing your own limits. This is a bit similar to the last one. Like, don't keep taking them all the time and stop doing ridiculous doses consistently. Obviously, for some of you, you are very ready for it. If you know that, don't you? I'd say. And also, there's nothing wrong with experimentation. Like, and as an addendum to the last video, there's nothing wrong with experimenting as a teenager. All I was trying to say was, yep, do your experimentation, but don't let it get out of control. And the way to do that is to have awareness and consciousness over a consciousness of what you're doing and how profound it is. Sorry about that, my GoPro keeps overheating. I need to stitch like a permanent ice pack to it or something. She can't bloody handle it, can Bessie. So I don't even know what the last thing I was saying was, because I've got short-term memory loss from abusing Spaghettimine. Don't be doing that. Spaghettimine, aka cat. I know I talk in a lot of weird lingo that people don't understand, but yes. So, look after yourselves, boys and girls, and everything in between. And make sure you get a buster sword to fight the entities with. This is one of my favourite pieces of equipment for fending off demons and that. Of course, lacking any materia inside it, so it's a bit useless, to be fair, because we all know that DMT elves are allergic to materia. So that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. This is me spinning around again. Thanks very much for watching. Hope that I said something of value in this video at some point, but probably not. So make sure to get in the comments section, because I know a lot of you people read the comments. You people. That was a very rude way to address my lovely audience. I know a lot of you read the comments and take a lot from it and get very engaged. I love that. I love the Vivek community is awesome. Lots of brilliantly minded people, and also a lot of troubled people that are really trying to help themselves out and get on a solid path towards living a good life and being a happy person, but not a pleasure seeker. But the thing is, a lot of people do. You need another thing. Oh, here we go. We got the last one. To be responsible with psychedelics, don't be obsessed with pleasure seeking. Don't treat it in a hedonistic manner. Treat it in. Well, you've got basically psychedelics are raising your consciousness so much that you're starting to see a bit of like more of the truth of reality rather than just the truth of the physicality. You go into the metaphysical, you go beyond that, and God knows where it goes. Probably infinitely deep, forever and ever and ever. You're starting to understand a bit more of the truth of what is going on, not even behind the scenes, what is going on behind the eyes. What's the connection between what we see as like the point of consciousness and the thing it's experiencing? Is there a separation? Is there a distinction? Can this distinction break down? And why can it break down? And is it an illusion? Is it just the brain? And you'll get into all this stuff, and you're getting really deep into life. So don't just expect psychedelics to make you feel good and don't just chase them for the euphoria, because then the ego will be like, because the ego I love a bit of pleasure, man. The ego will be on a pleasure-seeking journey. It will just use it for its own nefarious needs to just escape and distract and solidify itself and just like, basking in like hedonistic pleasure, when eventually too much pleasure turns into like deep suffering. Life is very counterintuitive. You think obviously like, seeking pleasure all the time, like sex and money and drugs and anything that's an escape that gives you like the dopamine, the serotonin, the euphoria, ecstatic feeling all the time, actually like comes back around and bites you in the fucking arse, mate, and you experience the pain of too much pleasure. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why my GoPro is so crap. She literally overeats. I basically live in Siberia, me. Not even England.